Enjoy paying for your own vacation, I texted when my family just landed in Hawaii. They tried to harass me. 3 years later, they begged for my help. I still remember the exact moment I decided to leave. The memory is so vivid it could have happened yesterday, not 3 years ago. My family sat around our cramped kitchen table, faces twisted with amusement as I shared my business plans. Their laughter cut deeper than any knife. "A business you?" My father wiped tears from his eyes. "You can't even remember to take out the trash." My mother's smile was thin, practiced. "Honey, maybe finish college first. Get a real job." My twin sisters, Amber and Ashley, exchanged knowing glances. At 21, they considered themselves worldly compared to my 19 years. Ashley flicked her hair over her shoulder. "He'll be back in a month," begging. I looked down at my hands, steady, calmer than I felt inside. I'd spent 6 months researching dropshipping, building a website, making connections with suppliers, not that they'd bothered to ask for details. "I'm moving out next week," I said. The laughter stopped. My father's expression hardened. "With what money?" "My money?" He stabbed a finger at me. "You live under my roof. You follow my rules. No son of mine is wasting his life on internet scams." My mother reached for my arm. "Think about what you're doing. You've always been impulsive." I turned her out. She always brought up my childhood mistakes whenever I tried to do something on my own. "I've already signed a lease," I said. The silence was deafening. Then came the storm. My father called me ungrateful. My mother cried about sacrifices. My sisters predicted my spectacular failure with barely concealed glee. According to them, I was throwing my life away. I'd never make it on my own. I'd come crawling back broken. I packed that night, left the next morning while everyone was still sleeping. I didn't leave a note. What would I say that hadn't already been said? My new apartment was small, just a studio in a part of the city where the rent wouldn't kill my savings. The previous tenant had left behind a wobbly desk and a futon that smelled faintly of cigarettes. It wasn't much, but it was mine. For the first week, I barely slept. I worked 18-hour days fine-tuning my website, contacting suppliers, setting up ads. My phone buzzed constantly. Text messages from my mother, alternating between guilt trips and concern. Voicemails from my father, his anger growing with each unanswered call. My sisters sent mocking messages betting on how long I'd last. I turned my phone off, focused on work. By the end of the month, I'd made my first significant sales, nothing huge, but enough to cover rent with a little left over. By the end of the second month, I doubled my income. The third month tripled. I bought myself a new Toyota Camry, nothing flashy but brand new. My first major purchase. I ran my fingers over the smooth steering wheel, inhaling that new car smell. I'd earned this. Me, not my family's connections or my father's money. Just me, my work, and my determination. I didn't mean to post about it on social media. I'd been keeping a low profile, avoiding family drama. But the salesman took a photo of me with my new car, and before I knew it, I'd shared it. A moment of pride I couldn't suppress. The response was immediate. My phone exploded with notifications. Suddenly, family members who hadn't bothered to check if I was alive now wanted to reconnect. Cousins I barely spoke to sent congratulatory messages. Old high school friends expressed surprise. And my family, they changed their tune so fast it gave me whiplash. My mother called first. Her voice sweet as honey. "Sweetheart, we've been so worried. Why haven't you been answering our calls? Your father and I were just talking about how much we miss you." I almost laughed. Just last week, her messages had accused me of breaking her heart. "Been busy, Mom. Working." "Well, clearly, it's paying off a new car. That's wonderful. You should bring it over this weekend. Show your father." My father, who had called me a fool, who had said I'd never amount to anything without his guidance. "Maybe," I said. "I'll check my schedule." Next came my sisters, suddenly interested in my life. They wanted to go to lunch, catch up. Their messages hinted at financial troubles, student loans, credit card debt, as if I couldn't see right through them. But it was my father's call that really showed their hand. "Son," he'd never called me that with such warmth before. "Your mother says you got yourself a new car. Good for you. Always knew you had it in you." My throat tightened. Had he always known? Was that why he'd laughed in my face when I shared my dreams? Why he'd predicted my failure with such certainty? "Listen," he continued, not waiting for my response. "I wanted to talk to you about an opportunity. The family could use some help." Ah, there it was. What kind of help? Financial. He cleared his throat. "Your sister Ashley's car broke down, and Amber needs dental work. Your mother and I are a bit stretched thin right now with the mortgage," I thought. Since you're doing so well. My success wasn't even the main topic of conversation, just a convenient segue to ask for money. "I'll think about it," I said. I didn't need to think about it. I already knew I wouldn't give them a penny, but I wanted to see how far they'd go, how deeply they'd dig themselves into this pit of lies. I didn't visit that weekend or the next. I sent non-committal texts, made vague promises to catch up soon, all while watching their desperation grow. My Aunt Lily called me 3 weeks after the car post. She'd always been the straight shooter in the family, never one for my parents' manipulative games. "They're playing you," she said without preamble. "I know. No. I mean, they're really playing you. There's no financial emergency. Your father got a raise last month. Your sister, Ashley, bought herself a new car, top of the line. They're trying to siphon off your success." My hands trembled slightly. I'd suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed made my blood boil. "Why are you telling me this?" Aunt Lily sighed. "Because I watched them beat you down for years, take credit for your successes, and blame you for their failures. Someone needs to stand up to them." After we hung up, I sat in the dark of my apartment thinking. 3 months ago, they'd laughed at my ambitions. Now they were lying to get a piece of what I'd built. The unfairness of it burned in my chest. That night, I made a decision. I'd give them exactly what they thought they wanted, then take it away, just like they'd tried to do with my dreams. I called my mother the next day, told her I'd been thinking about the family situation. I wanted to help. "That's wonderful, sweetheart." Her voice cracked with excitement. "Your father will be so proud." Proud as if this had anything to do with him. "I want to do something special," I said. "A family vacation. All expenses paid." The pause was brief. Disappointment quickly masked. "A vacation. To Hawaii, first-class tickets, 5-star resort, you, Dad, Ashley, and Amber." The disappointment evaporated. "Oh, that sounds incredible. When?" "Next month. I'll send all the details." I spent the next few weeks meticulously crafting my plan. This wasn't just going to be a vacation. It would be an elaborate lesson they'd never forget. I booked first-class tickets to Maui on the earliest flight available, the 7 a.m. departure that would require them to arrive at the airport by 5 a.m. I reserved rooms at the island's most exclusive resort, the kind that celebrities retreat to. $1,200 per night, per room. I scheduled personalized spa treatments, arranged private sunset dinner cruises, helicopter tour over volcanoes. Every excursion came with premium options. The total package would cost over $35,000. I didn't just send them confirmations. I created a custom-bound itinerary booklet, professionally printed, with glossy photos of every experience they'd enjoy. I included spending money, $2,000 cash for each of them in crisp $100 bills delivered in a sealed envelope with their booklets. My mother called daily with breathless excitement. My sisters posted countdown updates on social media. My father even condescended to thank me, telling me this proved I'd finally grown up. For the final touch, I sent a private car service to pick them up the morning of their flight. No expense spared. I tracked my family through the airline app as they checked in for their 7 a.m. flight. The driver confirmed pickup and drop-off at the airport. I watched as their boarding status changed from checked in to boarding. As they settled into their first-class seats, champagne in hand, I executed the final phase of my plan. I sent a text to the family group chat. "Remember how you laughed when I said I was starting a business? Remember how you said I'd never make it on my own? Enjoy paying for your own vacation. Hawaiian sunsets are spectacular this time of year if you can still afford to see them." Then I sent a message to the airline canceling my payment for the tickets. I did the same with the hotel, the excursions, the car service, everything. I knew exactly when they'd receive the notifications, right as the plane reached cruising altitude, right as they were getting comfortable, feeling special, right as the flight attendants would be collecting their first drink orders. I turned my phone off and went to work smiling for the first time in weeks. When I checked my messages that evening, the avalanche had begun. Frantic calls from the Maui airport, furious texts, voicemails that devolved from confusion to outrage. What kind of sick joke is this? We're stranded in Hawaii with no hotel and no return tickets. Your father had to max out his credit cards just to get us a motel room. I sent one message to the family group chat. Consider us even. Then I blocked their numbers. The flying monkeys came next. Relatives I barely knew called to tell me how cruel I'd been, how my parents were devastated, how they'd had to borrow money from friends to get home. Former neighbors, family friends, even my mother's hairdresser somehow got my number. I blocked them all. Aunt Lily sent me a text with a laughing emoji. About time someone gave them a taste of their own medicine. For 2 weeks, they tried everything. New phone numbers, email addresses, social media accounts. When they couldn't reach me directly, they started showing up at my apartment. I watched through the peephole as my mother pounded on my door, tears streaming down her face. My father threatened legal action in a voice loud enough for the whole floor to hear. My sisters took turns between pleading and cursing my name. I never opened the door. Eventually, they stopped coming. The messages dwindled. The harassment faded. I changed my number, moved to a new apartment, and focused on growing my business. 3 years have passed since then. 3 years of peace. 3 years of growth. My small dropshipping venture has expanded into a multi-million-dollar e-commerce company with 15 employees. I bought a house overlooking the city. I drive a car worth more than my parents' mortgage. I still hear about them occasionally through the family grapevine that Aunt Lily still plugs me into when there's something I should know. My father lost his job 6 months after the Hawaii incident. Something about misappropriating company funds. He's been bouncing between positions ever since, each one less prestigious than the last. My mother had to return to work after 15 years as a housewife. She cashiers at the local grocery store now. My sister's credit card debt caught up with them. Ashley had to move back home after her car was repossessed. Amber dropped out of her master's program when the money ran dry. Last week, I received an invitation to my cousin's wedding. My family will be there. It would be the first time seeing them since I walked out of their house 3 years ago. The wedding day arrives with perfect weather. I adjust my custom-tailored suit in the mirror, charcoal gray, subtle pinstripes, Italian silk. The reflection shows someone my 19-year-old self wouldn't recognize, confidence, successful, unshakable. I arrive at the ceremony fashionably late, slipping into a back row just as the bride walks down the aisle. I catch Aunt Lily's eye across the room. She gives me a subtle thumbs up. No one else notices me yet. It's during the reception that it happens. I'm at the bar ordering a whiskey neat when I hear my mother's gasp. She's frozen mid-step, champagne flute clutched in her manicured hand, staring as if she's seen a ghost. Daniel, her voice carries just enough for nearby guests to turn. I smile politely. Hello, Mother. She's aged, fine lines around her eyes that her expensive creams couldn't prevent. Her dress is designer, but from 3 seasons ago. The jewelry looks like costume pieces attempting to pass as genuine. My father appears at her shoulder, his expression cycling rapidly from shock to calculation. He's thinner, gray now dominating his temples. The confident posture he once carried has diminished. Son, he extends his hand as if the Hawaii incident never happened. As if 3 years of silence was just a minor miscommunication. I shake it briefly. Congratulations on your nephew's wedding. Beautiful ceremony. He blinks, thrown by my casual tone. Yes, it was. We didn't know if you'd actually come. I take a sip of whiskey. I honor my commitments. The implication hangs between us. My sisters materialize, circling like sharks sensing blood in the water. Ashley's wearing a dress I recognize from her social media 3 years ago. Amber's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Look at you, Ashley says, voice dripping with artificial sweetness. Doing so well for yourself. I can see the desperation behind her smile, the faded highlights in her hair, the chipped nail polish she tried to touch up. Small tells of financial struggle. Life's been good, I reply simply. Throughout the evening, I watch my family's strategy unfold. My father corners me near the restrooms, attempting to explain away their past behavior as tough love. My mother introduces me to her friends, subtly emphasizing my success while positioning herself as the supportive matriarch who made it all possible. During the father-daughter dance, Aunt Lily finds me on the terrace. They're planning to ask you for a loan before the night's over, she murmurs. Your father lost their house. Foreclosure next month. I nod, unsurprised. Let him ask. When the moment comes, it's my father who broaches the subject. He finds me as I'm preparing to leave, catching me alone by the coat check. We should grab lunch sometime, he suggests casually. Catch up properly. I'm pretty busy, I reply. He nods, understanding the rejection. Then with practiced nonchalance, listen, I hate to bring this up, but we're in a bit of a situation. Temporary cash flow problem. The house. Well, the bank's been unreasonable. I look at him directly. How much? Hope flickers in his eyes. $130,000 would clear the mortgage deficit just alone until we get back on our feet. I reach into my jacket and pull out my wallet. His eyes follow the movement, anticipation building. I extract a single business card and hold it out. This is the contact information for a good financial advisor, I say. He specializes in bankruptcy cases and foreclosure options. My father's face hardens. After everything we did for you, that's exactly why my answer is no. I cut him off quietly. Because of everything you did. Goodbye, Dad. As I walk away, I feel nothing but peace. No satisfaction in their downfall, no joy in their suffering, just the quiet certainty that I've broken a toxic cycle. As I drive home from the wedding, the night air cool through my open window, I reflect on the journey that brought me here. The satisfaction I expected to feel confronting my family never materialized. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Compassion. Not forgiveness, they haven't earned that. But seeing them stripped of their arrogance, scrambling to reclaim the control they once wielded so carelessly, I realized a fundamental truth. Some people will only value what they've lost. The greatest revenge isn't making others suffer for their mistakes. It's building something so beautiful from their rejection that they are forced to witness what they could have been part of. As I pull into my driveway, I think about that determined 19-year-old who drove away from home with nothing but a dream and the courage to pursue it. He knew his worth all along, even when no one else did. The lesson isn't just for them, but for anyone who might be standing where I once stood. Your worth isn't determined by those who fail to see it. The opinions of people who mock your dreams are irrelevant to your capacity to achieve them. Blood makes you related. Loyalty, respect, and support make you family. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is recognize when the people who should love you the most are the ones holding you back. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up. It's stepping forward, and that's the final victory. Not proving them wrong, but finally understanding that I never needed their approval in the first place.